the cost of counseling and the cost of purchasing your certificate and all the structure requirements of the government that of the country that you're in. Now, every country and every state differs in their prerequisites for a marriage license, as we had talked about the week before. All right, and we are now rushing forward now to last week, Saturday night. We talked about now that you have gotten married, now that you have found the bone of your bones, you're also excited because guess what? The main meat is to come, which is the sexual act, the act of intercourse. And we looked at how you can have a successful and an excited sex life. And we talked about the positions, and we talked about your mind attitude, and you heard our specialist came on and he told you how a woman takes time to warm up, so you need to you remember how he likened the two sexes, the female to a toaster oven, and he likened the women to the men rather to like a stove that it just once you touch it just blow up. That was his way of bringing it across, and it did stick to me, and so on. And so we learned a lot for the past 4 weeks, and please feel free to call and resonate with anything we have discussed for the past 4 weeks. Your number again is 941-623-6313. That's 941-623-6313. Now, tonight we are talking about probably the best topic of all. All the topics I keep saying, they are the best topic, correct? But tonight we are talking about, to me, the ability to bring another human being into this world. Can you imagine that God sees it fit to let us be co-partners with Him in the production of human being, in creating another person? And that is an awesome responsibility and co-labor with God Almighty. How about us praying and thanking God for this ability? Will you join me in praying? Father in heaven, thank you so much for being our Father, our God and a Creator. Thank you so much for loving us. And thank you so much for helping us that we have the wonderful privilege of being part of this whole creation process. We didn't come about by no Big Bang theory. We came about by an intelligent being who chose to use women as his vessel to carry his children and to go into partnership with we and the partner, which is a male. How can we praise you and thank you enough for this wonderful ability to procreate? Thank you, and help us that this program tonight will reach someone who needs to hear it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Okay, so now you are now married and you're all excited because you now want to extend and expand this family of yours. You're planning to have this child. Remember, to bring a child into this world is not supposed to be an accident. So many times we say children are an accident, but it is not so, and it is not supposed to be like that. Children are supposed to be well planned for. First of all, you need to ensure that you have the correct environment to bring a child into. Am I right? Yes. Children need to be in a correct environment. The second thing is you need to prepare yourself financially. You need to be able to put that child somewhere. You need to be able to have all the needs of that child taken care of. You're not going to throw that child to in-laws, not that I'm saying anything is wrong with in-laws or so on, but at least you need to have all of these foundations ready. Not only that, you need to ensure that you're also emotionally able to bring a child into this world, because it can be overwhelming. And once you're overwhelmed, many of us, we have heard of what is called the postnatal syndrome, wherein women just get so devastated over a child crying, or they can't get the child to stop crying, or the child is sick, especially if it is more than one baby, it's like twins or triplets forever, for example, and they reach a stage where they mentally crack, and they end up taking the life of those babies. So you have to be emotionally stable. You have to have someone who is there with you. And that is why God's ideal is a man and a woman. The man be there by your side to give you the help, to take turns when that baby come into the world, and so on. Okay, so we talk about being financially able, physically able, materially able, emotionally able, socially able. This is where grandmothers come in, church friends, environment, neighbors, trusted neighbors too come in, because you cannot trust anybody with your children. Okay? So you need to have all of those parameters set in place before you think of bringing a child. If I bring a child, who will stay with the child for me while I go back out to work? The job I have, how long will it allow me to stay away from my job? Is my body able, and we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes, is my body able to carry a child through to the correct term that is assigned to a pregnancy? And if not, and I'm having repercussions, will my job give me the added sick leave I need to be able to bring this child into this world and stay home and give that child the care, and my body the care? Both of us need to heal and be ready to go back into the work world. So those are questions that you need to ask yourself before, and it's supposed to be a partnership. That means both of you are discussing this, not just one. No, honesty is definitely needed in this marriage. Before you go into childbearing and before the marriage, tell your partner up front that I want only one child, or I don't want any children, or I want 3 children, or I am not able to have a child, or this issue run into my family lineage. We have this genetic issue. We have this hereditary issue. You got to be honest, because at the end of the day, it is gonna be discovered, and when it is discovered, the person, your partner, is gonna feel cheated. They're gonna feel let down. And guess what? You can become a divorce statistics. So be honest with your partner where childbearing is concerned, okay? Be honest with your partner. It takes, speak the truth and speak it ever. Please do not hide it from the person that this or that is going on. Now you're gonna start preparing your body now for, after all of those questions are out of the way, you're going to prepare your bodies now for this child to come into the world. You're going to start eating right. You're going to abstain from certain things. Okay? Alcohol, drugs, so many illnesses now that children are being born with. That in my days of living, usually those illnesses are elderly people who usually have those illnesses. Now children are coming into this world with every kind of illness that is usually associated with aged people. You know, so something is wrong with that picture. So ladies, drink right, eat right, take care of your bodies, and do not let your partner or anybody else smoke in your presence. Do you know that there are certain drugs, even if you're not the one who is taking it in, you still turn out to be a partake of it. Even in your skin, it is saturated in, or it breathes into your skin. Okay, so you need to do that. Ensure you have the ability to get enough rest and so on. Now, let me quickly jump into two things that can affect the pregnancy. Okay, let me jump into two things that can affect the pregnancy. One is fertility, and two, infertility. We are not going to look so much into fertility tonight until we have the doctor on the line to do that. Okay, another night. But we're going to look into infertility. We're going to look a little bit closer into infertility. And what is infertility? It's technically the inability to bear children, to get pregnant. That's the long and short of it. And it is a very, very devastating feeling to a young bride or a young couple, that they can't, only to get the sad news or to realize that they can't have a child. It's very devastating. But you're not alone. These things are from Bible days. Let us look at 3 characters in the Bible that got that same devastating news. We see wherein Sarah, the wife of Abraham, she, even to her very, very old age, she could not have a child. And God made a promise to her and Abraham that out of their lineage would a nation, a great nation, which we now know as the Jews, would come out of, right? So God can intervene and loosen that womb and give you a child. So Sarah did have a child in her old age. Okay? So that's one point that we're going to look at. You can get a child out of miracle. The next one was Rebecca. Rebecca was Sarah's child, her daughter. So she'll be her daughter, wife rather. So she would be the daughter-in-law of Sarah, right? Because she married Isaac. And Rebecca too was barren. But guess what? The Bible tells us that Isaac prayed, and he prayed, and he prayed some more, and Rebecca ended up getting pregnant. As you know, she's the mother of that famous twin that deceived his brother by telling him to give him the lentil, exchange it for his birthright. Yes, look into that story. She was barren, and her husband prayed for her. So that's a second remedy. Sorry about that. That was a second remedy. You can go down in prayer. Okay? Now, the third person that I want to bring to your attention is Rachel. Rachel too was barren, and she got into such a state of depression. But guess what? When she decided, because Rachel now is the wife of one of the twins, the same one that did the deception, Jacob. She too was barren. And what she did in competition with her sister Leah, if you recall, is that she gave her handmaid to her husband, so that child could be born in her name. In our days, we call it surrogates. All right? So you can think of that option to provide a surrogate. Not that I'm telling you to go and get a woman to sleep with your husband and call that child your child. I'm not saying that. That is totally wrong. Okay? She stepped out of the rules of God's province and take things in her own hands. But I'm just pointing out the fact that once she started getting those children through the maid, her mind was in a better place. And once her mind was now in a better place, guess what happened? She got pregnant. She not only get pregnant once, but she got pregnant twice. So, but let me also mention a third situation here. Upon her second baby, she died in childbirth. So I want us to look at the fourth issue is that child, sometimes God knows best and preserve your health, your situation, your life by not giving you a child. So sometimes the Lord allows that, allow you not to get pregnant because he sees into the future, and you got to trust God and do not place it as a burden on yourself when you realize that you cannot have a child. It is not the end of the world. Trust me, it is not. These ladies, Hannah, for example, Samuel's mother, she was mocked and teased to the uttermost. Also Rachel, but and Sarah too, by that same maid that she sent into her husband too. These ladies were mocked by the fertile ladies, and so, and felt like an outcast. And sometimes you do feel that. You start having self-loathing. Some people even go on to suicide and pain and grief and start thinking all kind of unhealthy things and stuff like that. So do not worry yourself. Do not stress yourself. We're going to hear from someone after the break why we are how to handle infertility as we rush towards our first half. But let me just say here, some of the things that cause infertility is ovulation issues, infections. Some female eggs doesn't mature properly. The implantation failures, the polycystic ovary syndrome is also a part of it that can cause it. You have then in men you have like low sperm count. Sometimes it is the stress that causes it in both male and female. Drugs, if you are taking drugs, if you're over anxious, the type of job that you do can be a factor too. Men that drives a lot or do jobs that you're sitting on heat, you affect the sperm count in the scrotum. So be careful, men who are drivers or does a lot of driving, long-term driving, or driving in extreme heat, or sitting on items that are hot throughout the day. Those are factors that can also damage your sperm count. We're looking at fibroids in women, blocked fallopian tubes in women, reoccurring miscarriages in women, probably certain illnesses, childhood illnesses too, can cause you to have lost the ability to have children. And certain chronic illnesses, and as I said, lifetime choices. You party all night, well, you're going to get the result of partying, because if the body is too tired, then you are not in a position to properly provide the amount of sperm count you need. And if you're not healthy enough, you have a low blood count, the ability for the blood to rush from the brain to the penis is also aborted. Okay, so those are some of the things that cause infertility. I probably only touched the surface. The specialist or the expert will do so. But as we go into our break,
what's the matter with the world? Has the world gone mad? Nothing's wrong with the world. It's the people that's in it. You can depend on the sun. It rises every day. But you can't rely on the things people say.
Hello?
Rain falls from the sky to give water so life won't die. Everything's in harmony except you and me. I want to know what's the matter with the world. Has the world gone mad? No, ain't nothing wrong with the world. It's the people that's in it. Little babies are born, they're so eager to learn. They only follow the things you say and
Okay, we are back. I just want to quickly remind us that we are going into our second phase, and the telephone number, if you have any things that you want to throw at us or to resonate with what is happening and the previous callers that came in, the lines are now open, so you can feel free to call. We'll queue you up. Sorry about the first callers that got blocked. The number again is 941-623-6313. That's 941-623-6313. And we are going into our first caller who is gonna assist us tonight. Hello, good night. Good night, can you hear me? Caller?
Hi, Carol. This is Katie Ann.
Oh, hi, Kaden. How are you?
I'm good. Am I too early?
I am so glad to hear your voice. This is your field. I am totally out of my zone here. So I am so glad you called in to help me with this, because I am not an expert at all in this field. So I am so glad you're here to help me. I know I am repeating myself. That's because I'm so glad you called. Okay, Katie, do you want to quickly tell our audience here your area of expertise, please, and your name?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. My name is Katie Ann Caballero Dennis. I'm a mental health therapist. So, working in all areas of mental health. And that also includes grief and loss.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. Well, tonight our topic of infertility, our topic is really on childbearing tonight, but we segment a little into the infertility, or I'm zeroing in on that area because there are statistic has shown that yearly over 200,000 cases occur per year of infertile women, and let me quickly say here in big bold, men, because this stigma is attached to women. And Katie, in that case, what do you see out there in your line of work when a woman gets the news or start realizing that, or even the thoughts start coming to her that, hey, it seems as if I cannot have children, I'm barren? What kind of reaction you see from women out there?
Well, a lot of it, women become really sad, angry, just frustrated, confused, more so a lot of anger and sadness in relation to not being able to have a child, or maybe if they're going through the loss of a child after trying for so many times, And so that is some of the emotions. And then there's also, just physical symptoms too that might come with those emotions. So some women might find it hard to sleep. So having insomnia, or hypersomnia, sleeping too much, and so their
Oh, so you said
physical
it affects
symptoms.
the sleep? I have to write that down. Oh my goodness.
Yes, it can, because remember that this is now something that is coming through emotionally. And so because of those experiences, right, you go through a lot emotionally. And remember that our emotions also impact us physically. And so challenges such as lack of sleep, difficulty concentration, losing appetite, things like that, um,
Ouch.
can impact a woman um, who has lost a child, or who is, realizing that, boy, I can't seem to have a child.
Oh, when you say she tries to several times and start realizing that, hey, it seems as if I'm barren. What? How many times? Or how many try times? Then should I say would be you'd start having an alarm bell going off, send up a red flag that something is wrong with my me or my partner, for example.
Okay, so this all depends on the woman, right? For some women, it depends. It might be, it we can't say for a fact how many times, you know, but it all depends on the tests that they've done, where they have reached, um, how many times they've. So there's no time, there's no specific amount that we can put to it. Um,
Okay.
However, it depends on their physician and, the tests that they have done and what has been said to them in terms of where they're at and what they've found, both for both them and or the partner. Because sometimes it's not necessarily the woman, but it could also be the partner too.
Right, but now that you mentioned that, um, be- the stigma is so much on the women that
Yes.
the
Hmm.
women will go and will be doing all of these tests and all of these clinical trials and taking all of these fertility drugs and everything, and the men just sit there all cozy and okay, and I have known of cases wherein at the end of it all, it is discovered that it's really the men that had the issue and not the women. Yet the women went through those years and years of torture to the point wherein some men leave the women, the marriage breakup,
Hmm.
because they feel that, hey, she's barren. She cannot give me the child to carry on my name. And she's looked down on, and people are looking, casting eyes sideways at her, and so on in public, and things like that. And she doesn't want to get exposed or even be around anybody socially, especially around other people who have children. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Usually with that, a good medical provider, um, would be able to and this is a partnership. So the man and the woman should be going together to get medical advice. And so usually a good physician is able to do the necessary tests. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical doctor. But the advice usually is you go to a good medical doctor who will test not just you, but also your partner and come to some sense of what is going on.
So
Yeah.
so so right, so right. Because
Mm-hmm.
so therefore, whenever a couple go into counseling, the or come before a doctor with this issue, the doctor should strongly recommend that both parties go get tested. Correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Both parties get tested. All right. So now that we zero in on that area of dealing with it, how do you move on from accepting it now that, hey, I can't have a child? What are my alternatives, and how do I handle the alternatives?
So, okay. So, I can speak more so. to the area of grief. Like, if 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 the woman and her partner, they're experiencing the grief of losing a child, or the grief of now knowing that they're not able to have a child, then they can experience so many great emotions, right? Um, and it can get complicated based on things such as the trimester that they lost the child, or how many times they have lost a child
Oh.
in right, or the procedures that they did to get pregnant. So, some people are spending thousands of dollars to get to the point of pregnancy, and
Oh,
to know that
mercy.
after you've done that for so long, you lost a child, or even how the loss happened, you know and so, and then another thing too is, it's also the grief process is also based on the person themselves, and how they take it and how they deal with the situation. So grieving is complicated, and it's not necessarily the same for everyone, but there's some commonalities for sure, right? And there's no right or wrong way to grieve, right? Um,
Just let it
no,
out.
right, yes, yes, yes. But I think what your question is now that you know that that's the case, or you've experienced a loss, you didn't bring the child to completion, the child wasn't born, or what can you do now to cope with that type of grief, right? Is that where you want me to go?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, sure. One of the first things that you need to do is to be kind to yourself, you know, allow time to grieve, right? Because a lot of people are, they beat up on themselves emotionally, and but you want to allow it to happen. Don't try to fight the grief, right? Allow it to happen. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be sad. It's, these are natural emotions that are expected when, you've heard the news that you can't have a child, or you've lost, um, an unborn child, right? Another big thing then after that is also asking for help and support, right?
Oh.
So support and help of others is huge. And we find that some women and their partner, men, you know, they suffer in silence or in isolation. But that is not the best at all to cope through grief. You want to involve the help of others. And help could mean your church community, right? Um, some people might need to find a grief and loss group, right? Or a group that relates to whatever exactly you're going through. Help could also look like asking, people, allowing actually people to help, because there's sometimes people are offering to help, but you don't allow them to help because of your shame, your sadness, all those feelings that you're experiencing. You don't want people, but that is the time that you actually need them, right? Someone can
Yes.
even bring a meal over, you know. Someone can talk to you for a couple minutes per day, you know. Um, going for a walk with someone. So it's allowing your community, your family, to be as supportive as possible through this difficult time.
Okay.
Um,
So, oh, sorry. Go
yes.
ahead.
No, man, go ahead. Me have a
Oh,
lot more. So
I was
have
going
a
to
lot
say,
more we could
so it
say.
is not good for you to push away other people and try to grieve
No,
alone, because that's when you're
no.
entering the unhealthy threshold. And this should be the same for men and women.
Yes, for
All
sure.
right. Okay.
Yes.
All right. What else do you
Hmm.
have to share with us regarding this? This. Go ahead.
Sure. Another way to handle when you're grieving in infertility, or even the loss of an unborn child, is writing down your thoughts. Not
Oh.
every one of us like to write, so that may not work for everybody. But writing down the thoughts, the emotions, writing a letter to your unborn child, knowing, of course, that that child will not see it, but it's just it's the act of getting it out of your mind and putting it on paper, right?
Okay.
Another thing too is eating healthy at that time. Of course, we want to be eating healthy all the time, but this is so important through grief and loss. You want to eat healthy, eat your fruits, your vegetables, drink your water.
Wow.
Because we know that when you are nourishing your body, it's also helping the mind and the mental faculties and our thoughts, right?
Yes. Oh, wow.
Counseling, going
Yes.
to therapy or getting counseling with a professional in your community, that's another good way to help with the grief. Um, and getting enough sleep. A lot of people don't think, oh, I need to get sleep to cope. But I want to say that sleep is one of the other big areas, because if you're not getting enough sleep, you can be irritable. You can lack concentration in your awake time,
Okay.
right? Yeah, sleep is also helping you to rest your body as you continue. So it is all a part of it. So getting enough sleep, taking care of any medical issues that might have happened as a result of losing the unborn child. Because some women at this point might ignore certain things, you
Okay.
know. But you want to go to your medical provider. And I'm sure that if you, after the loss, they probably would have had appointments that they have set up for you to keep coming
Yeah,
to,
I'm sure.
just to do checkups and stuff. You want to make sure that you're keeping up with that, doing also activities, and of course, as you want to follow the medical advice of your medical doctor in terms of exercise and stuff. So if you're not supposed to exercise in terms of, how vigorous it should be, then you want to make sure that you follow that advice. But exercise is so helpful to us when we need to cope through grief and loss, right? Exercise or going for a short, slow walk, and then of course also doing just activities that you like to do. So if you are a painter, you might want to do a little of that. If you are a reader, you might want to read a good book, whatever it is that you like to do that can help to balance your emotions in that time, right? You want to practice to do those.
Wow, that makes sense, because you're now teaching your mind to wean off that pain and problem and so on. But the question I want us to point or to bring us to now is, does it end there? Oh, I can't have a child. End of chapter and verse. What would you or steps that you would recommend to our options, rather? Should I use the word options to take the place of not losing hope in having a child around? What are some of our options that you would throw out to a couple?
Right. So I guess what you're saying too is, at this point it's clear that maybe, okay, we're not going to have a child based on the medical advice that was given to us.
Yes.
The tests have been done. We have tried for a while, right? And so, the advice, first of all, is to continue to take care of each other, supporting each other, right? Knowing that it's not the end, right? Focusing on improving the relationship and coping through knowing this together.
Amen.
Because, you don't want to think about getting into something too quick. And I'm going to say what something is soon.
I was just going to say what is something.
Right, yes. You want to just cope through that first, right? Allow God to lead, right? So the something now is what we still want you. If you still want to have a child there with you in your home, right, to care for, you might now start to think of the options, right? So options might be adoption,
Which
some people.
let's stick a pin right while we're on that.
Yes.
We are going to have a topic on adoption and have the
Okay.
assistance of the government child care center to
Oh,
weigh in
good.
on this. So that's
Yes.
definitely, we want to look into the world of adoption, and there are really some sweet children out there that could do with our help, really do with our help by taking a
Yes.
child in your home.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
only in your home, but into your heart. Because we're going
Yes.
to look on the pros and cons of adoption, and we're going to see that a large range of abuse can happen to children who are adopted, okay, or in foster care. So
Yes.
anyway, adoption, that's one up, the first option. Go on.
Yes. Foster care too is where I was going to go next. Right. Um, mentoring a child. So, you might decide after doing some therapy and counseling that, maybe we don't want to have a child with us, but we can mentor a child. There, and also maybe just helping to care for other, nieces or nephews, or just deciding that, this is what it is, and we're going to cope through it and take care of each other.
Okay.
Right. And so there's so many options today that people can do when they've heard this news. And I've also even known of people who it's taken them years and they've even been told that they cannot, but they did.
Yes, that's a point of the Bible text too. Yeah.
Yes, and so bigger than I think anything else that I've said is faith. Having faith in God and believing in His promises and continuing to pray. And faith means too that if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it happened, it happened.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we know that God knows what is best for us and our lives. And so once you're praying in His will, whatever happens is what is
His will.
It right, And so, the biggest part too, along with the faith, is continuing to care for each other and support. Because what you find too is a lot of partnerships then break up, they divorce, all kind of issues because
blaming each other.
Right, because the woman can't have my child, so I go find another one, or or the man can't, so I go find another one.
Yes.
Right, or sometimes that one person go and sleep out of the marriage, and then there's a child, but then the other partner can't accept the child. They become frustrated. It creates bigger issues in the relationship.
Yes.
And so you don't want that, right? And so it's always continuing to trust in God and care for each other.
Yes. Thank you so much. Before you go, someone just shoot us a message and ask about early immortality and SIDS. Are you able to weigh in on that? What is that in any way? SIDS, SIDS, and early immortality.
You mean when the child is born and then the child dies?
So you actually bring the child into place. So you wouldn't classify that person as infertile, would you? But every time the child comes forth, they die from probably these two situations. So
I cannot give you a whole lot of information on that.
No, I don't want a lot because we don't have a lot of time. But are you able to tell the audience what exactly is SIDS in any way at all? SIDS.
From what I remember, I think that is when the child dies in their sleep, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't have a lot of information on that.
Okay, maybe one of our audience can call in and weigh in on that. But would we classify someone who every time the child is born, the child die either at childbirth, or they die shortly afterward. You know what I mean? She's not infertile. The child comes,
right, no,
but
right. No, the woman would not be infertile because she was able to bring forth a child. And even, in fact, infertility is when you cannot have, so once you're able to get pregnant, right, then of course you're able to be fertile. And so pregnancy and having the child, you can have a child, right? However, a live child is born and then dies, that's different.
So we're looking at two different issues here.
Right, yes.
But so the impact of the pain is more horrible on that parents set up, that couple with that have that child coming to the world. Wouldn't we say that? Or am I wrong?
Not so. It depends on the person and their circumstance. For everyone, all of us are different. We grieve in different ways. Our circumstances are all different. And so someone who was pregnant for 1 month and lose a child could grieve in the same way as someone who carried a child for 9 months and the child was born and died 2 weeks later. Right? So everybody is different. We grieve in different ways depending on our circumstances and who we are and what we've gone through. And so grief and loss happens to people in different ways.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So oh my goodness, the time flies so fast. I am afraid to look at the clock. but I can't thank you enough. I could sit here and tap your brain all night because you have a wealth of information to give us. But I just want to certainly thank you from the bottom of my heart for really lending us your expertise tonight. And
Yes.
I just applaud you and your family, your dear husband, and your children, and your ministry, and all that you contribute to the society, especially where you are calling us from. Thank you so much, Mrs. Caballero, and I thank you for everything. I thank you for your time, and continue to pray for us here on the program, that someone who is listening to us, some woman, some man, somebody, a family will be saved by this program tonight. God bless you so much, and all the best.
God bless you. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. 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 So that is what we're saying here, that it's not the end of the world, okay? And you can, as she said, exercise all your options. We have only how many minutes leave? We have no time, as a matter of fact. So if there are any more calls gonna come in, you'd have to shoot it like right now, or we see you next week. We will definitely have you in mind. We'll pray for you, and anything else that you need of, we will be there for you. Trust me, God sees and He knows your pain, and anything that you are going through is there to help you through. Consider all different kind of fertility clinics and options and surrogacies and adoptions, whatever it takes to put your mind at ease and to try one more time. Okay? God bless you, and all the best for tonight. You be safe now, and do what you can to save your family, one family at a time.
Ding dong, the bells are gonna chime. Pull out the stopper, we'll have a whopper. Get me to the church on time.
Dalton is in love with that song.
Morning, spruced up and looking in my prime. Girls come and kiss me, say that you'll miss me. Get me to the church on time. If I am dancing, roll up the floor. If I am whistling, right out the door. I'm getting married in the morning. Ding, ding, dong, they're gonna chime. Kick up a rumpus, don't lose your compass. Get me to the church, get me to the church. For Pete's sake, get me to the church on time. If I am dancing, roll up the floor. If I am whistling, out the door. I'm getting married in the morning. Ding, ding, dong, they're gonna chime. Girls, come and kiss me. Say that you miss me. Get me to the church. Get me to the church. For Pete's sake, get me to the church on time. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding